Before we get into the video, just note that I will not be talking about every single minor change in the patch notes. So in the description, I'll leave a link so you guys can read them for yourself if you're curious. I'll mainly be going over the bigger changes or the balance changes that the patch is talking about. Enjoy the video. Heyo guys, Pengu here. It is a long-awaited video about my thoughts regarding the Crystal Guard season that is coming out supposedly the 6th or 7th of September in this following month. So yeah, quite a lot of changes. Video will be spread into 3 categories: the quality of life upgrades, new map changes, operator nerfs and operator buffs, and of course the new operator OSA, and maybe a closing statement. So let's get straight into it. So the first quality of life change that we got is there's now a change. So instead of having operator armor, we will have operator health. So instead of going 1 armor, 2 armor, 3 armor, you'll have 100, 110, and 125 health, I believe. So basically that is, instead of taking less damage per bullet with the damage reduction, you just simply have more health. For gunfights, it changes nothing, but for explosives, smoke grenades, and even fall damage, that's a flat scaling damage factor. That will change a few things in a minor way, probably nothing too major. Outside of that, we also have the in-game player outline. So that is the very welcome change, kind of similar to Valorant, where there's a silhouette around the opponents in the game, and basically this should help people with not blending in with certain walls when you're using certain skins. In our experience in testing on the test server, it didn't really work all that great, but Ubisoft developers did tweet out that they are reiterating and changing stuff as the test server goes on. To my knowledge, as of today, which is the 29th, 31st actually of August, they haven't really managed to make that outline just pop the right way, because of a lot of the walls in Siege are like a brighter gray color. It kind of overlaps with the outline itself, and so does some of the skins, as some of the skins are a brighter or gray color too. Crossing my fingers that they're gonna change that for the live build, but overall it's a great change, of course. Then we have the flash change. Right now, if you throw a flashbang and you turn away, you don't get flashed. But on test server, it is that within the 10 meter or so radius, which is a fairly large distance in Siege, even if you throw a flashbang and turn around 180 degrees, you still get flashed, as if it was like on your feet in the previous patch. So you always get flashed no matter the distance, within that 10 meter radius if you're looking away. However, the further away the flashbang is, the shorter the duration. So if the flashbang is on your feet, let's say you get flashed for 3 seconds, and if it's 10 meters away, you get flashed for 1.5 seconds or 1 second flat. This basically makes flashbangs a lot more lethal, especially if you're in a corner or stuck in a small room, and basically means that you can no longer play around that mechanic as you did previously, which, to be honest, it makes Warden really great. It also works with Ying and Blitz. However, it seems to have an opposite effect on those operators. When I was testing my Blitz, I could almost never blind my opponents, and whenever I'm playing against the Ying, I would almost rarely get flashed by it either. So it seems to affect flashbangs a lot, but not the other gadgets, which is odd. I'm not a huge fan of it personally. I think if you flick away, that should be your punishment. And again, if you flick, that requires the reaction time and the decision making to do so, and then enemy can peek you and you die. So the whole thing that you can look away and still get blinded, it feels kind of bad. It feels like a double punishment almost. I love how CSGO does it. I kind of think that's like the best kind of flash mechanic we have in any video game. So maybe we can just look at what they're doing, copy it and do it in Siege maybe, but I don't know. Next up, we got the map changes. It's gonna be Coastline, Bank, and Clubhouse, as you guys know. And I wouldn't really call them a rework. The maps, how they play out, how they feel, it stays the same. That hasn't really changed. Sure, you can now defend VIP in Coastline and play Pendas more perhaps. On Bar, maybe you can play bar defense now. So on Clubhouse, maybe you can play bar defense nowadays. And on Bank, it's mainly basement bombs that got affected by the changes. Maybe top floor as well with the parking roof change. But basically the way I see it is that it's more of a mini map update. The game is now 6 years old, so all the old school maps need a small touch up to make the maps more updated for the newer operators and how we're playing the game and all the things that players now know that they didn't back in the day that affects how the map plays. It's not really a huge change. I don't think it's going to change that much, but it is a nice quality of life upgrade. especially for newer players or returning players. It's gonna make those maps a lot more refreshing, and a lot of frustration with like the coastline roof and the bank parking roof has been taken out of the game, and the skylights and stuff, and that's a huge relief for me. I'm a big fan. Moving on to operators, we got some buffs. Fuse can now breach through hard walls. Yeah, something I never thought we would say ever. Fuse might actually get played now. I don't think he's gonna be played like every round by any means or anything like that. I think it could be like a niche pick for certain maps, for certain players. He brings the smoke grenades, or the heartbreach gadget can now use his fuse canister on a reinforced wall or a reinforced hatch to clear out like kite claws. Like say there's like 3 walls and one of them isn't clawed, you can like fuse that wall, kill the kite claw on the other one. Of course, if the wall itself is electrified, that won't work, but if it's next to it, it will. Same for like vertical floor or hatches, etc. Anything you can get your hands on. He's still a 1-speed operator. That's still a huge letdown. They did make the AK-12 recall a little bit easier for both Ace and Fuse, so the weapon also got a small buff. But the biggest change is really to Twitch. Twitch almost got like a whole rework in how she works. So in the near future, we're gonna see what's called the repick option for attackers. So during the regular droning phase, instead of 6-picking like we have now, you can just pick in the drone phase when you're scouting for the enemy's defense. So because of that, Twitch has a regular drone in the prep phase, which means you can no longer, drone around and kill the default cams inside or outside the building and kind of keep the enemy guessing as to where you're spawning or where you're going. However, she does get a 3rd drone. She will have a normal drone in prep phase as mentioned, and she will have 2 Twitch drones in her pocket upon spawning. Not only that, but her Twitch drones can now jump, which is massive because you get stuck on every single bit of terrain, especially in a map like Chalet with all the bumps and gaps and stones and rocks and ladders, it kind of sucks. So you can now jump with the Twitch drone, but that's not even the biggest change. They're reworking how her pew pew laser works, right? So before it was more like an EMP laser. It would disable gadgets and it would have like a limited range. Now it's becoming like the zero cams laser. Infinite range, so all the way across the map. It does 5 damage to players, and it can now destroy gadgets and not disable them, which means you can now destroy Goyo shields by hitting the canister. You can still open mirror windows, still kill ADSs, kill mute jammers, all that good stuff. But you can no longer disable Maestro cameras so that they will open up. So she's worse against Maestro. And she can no longer disable bulletproof cameras by shooting it directly, but she can still kill them by shooting it on the side. So a few different interactions, and as I mentioned, 5 player damage. If you have 3 shocks, you can do 15 damage, assuming that you hit all of them. That's kind of decent actually. So you can start bullying people some more. I do think it's a bit excessive that you can zap across the entire map. It kind of goes against the whole droning aspect of the gadget where, you drone into the building, you get into like a risky position, and they might hear you, they might not. If you're quick, you can get something destroyed. Whereas now it's more like a sniper turret that's all the way across the map that can move and jump and all these things. Interesting to see how that's gonna go, but I do think that Twitch is gonna be quite a good operator coming into the next season. Also, the F2, of course, still goes super hard. I wouldn't be surprised if they nerf the F2 next patch as a side effect to buffing her gadget, and that's gonna feel terrible if that's the case. So let's hope they don't. For operator nerfs, we got Sledge losing the SMG-11, probably one of the most controversial changes in Siege history. It's like up there with like Jaeger losing ACOG and Ash losing ACOG and Doc losing ACOG and all those things. I know that people aren't a big fan of this change, and hear me out, I'm not either. But it makes sense if you know the reasoning for it. Ubisoft has for a very long time tried to bring, the Ash, Sophia, Ayana, Sledge, and Buck into the same kind of line, same kind of win rate, play rate, preference, etc. So there's no clear winner over the others. Ayana lost the 2x on G36C. She lost the 2.5x scope from the ARX. Ash lost a hard breach in charge, or a soft breach in charge. Sophia got a recoil increase. Buck lost his grenades, and now Sledge lost the SMG-11 secondary. So they've nerfed effectively every single of the utility operators that are required on attack in different ways. Recall, secondary gadget, primary gadget, grenades, like scope removal. So a lot of different ways they've gone around this topic. It makes sense why, but it just feels bad when they take content away from us by removing weapons and stuff. But I don't think it's gonna change much. Sledge is still the king of vertical play, and he has the nades, so yeah, what can you do? Then they've changed mute, another change that some people are mad about and some people weren't. I think it's a pretty good change. Basically, instead of being a cylinder shape, it's now like a full sphere. So jammers will go below and they will go above, but they will go less above than before, but they will go wider, I believe. So basically, Mute is now more like Mossy, where it's great for drone deny and stuff. And he's less of a wall denier, seeing as you can only reach about half of the wall reinforcement. Bandit and Kite are now the dedicated wall deniers. Mute and Mossy are like more for anti-info, deny droning, etc. Kind of putting Mute back into that specific role instead of being crazy flexible. We can do a better job than Bandit and Kite, or as good of a job as them actually. But also as good of a job, if not better, than Mossy at the same time. So I'm okay with that. Small quality of life change. IQ has now the ping 2.0 system on our gadget. So when you're on your scanner, you can ping stuff through the walls for your teammates instead of saying, over there, like near the yellow ping a little bit, you can now just ping it straight away. Kind of nice change as well. IQ's never really played, but I guess it's nice, you know, why not? And last but not least, we got Oza. Oza's new operator of Siege. It's quite strong, very dynamic, and can do a lot of things. I will probably play a lot of Oza when the live build comes around for the new season. I played her a ton on the test server, and I had a lot of fun, a lot of clips, and it's just like the endless amount of opportunities you have. It's like a mini Monty combined with like a deployable shield on defense, but on attack, and you get the smoke grenade, you get Thermite's 556, Jackal's PDW. You really have it all, to be honest. I do think that the operator is a bit too strong. She has explosive resistance, so if you're holding the shield in your hands, you will not die to C4. You will not even die to 2 impacts, even if they're like tossed right at you. And you can put down the shield, pick it back up, put it back down, pick it back up, and it just seems like there's no stopping really. I would love a change where once you put down the shield on the ground, you're kind of locked into that decision, and you can't just pick it back up and change your mind, because that's for me as a player at least where the other concerns comes from. You can just put it down early in case you die, and if you don't, pick it back up and move it forward a bit. And since you have 2 of them, you can put one down the ground and use the second one as cover to push up. You can get into bomb side, deliver the diffuser, plant diffuser, put the shield down for cover. You're not exposed when putting the shield down either, so it's not like a normal defender shield where you're super exposed. It kind of unfolds like in front of you. They have like a small second to shoot you, but you're covered besides that. And you cannot destroy the shield when it's in her hands, only when it's fully on the ground, which means that you can't just kill her with again by shooting her or impacting or nading really, and her shoulders aren't exposed either. Ton of opportunity there. She can block windows so you can't vault through them, and she can block doorways so you have to vault over them. Of course, as a defender or as an attacker, you can melee the shield and it shatters so you can't see through it, similar to the mirror window update. And there's also a gas canister at the bottom on the opposing side of where it's facing, where you can destroy it, which is mostly going to be for attackers, of course. Once it's on the ground, as I said, you can impact it, C4 it to destroy it if you want to get rid of it. But besides that, you can't really do anything about it. So you might be playing a lot of impacts next season as like a countermeasure of Oza, but we'll see. Then of course at the very end, the rank charm and seasonal weapon skin, as you guys are always curious about. Not a huge fan of the charm personally. I thought it was a placeholder when I saw the leak. I was like, there's no way that's real, but it is. It's okay, I guess. And seasonal weapon skin, I'm honestly not too mad about. I'll take it. I don't think there's anything bad about it. There's nothing amazing about it, but pretty neutral on that topic. There's also a few changes with like ammo count and magazine sizes and damage drop off and silencer changes, but super, small things. I don't think they're gonna be super relevant or super huge. We got like new Vigil Elite coming out that was leaked. Looks pretty nice actually. I might buy it myself for the first time ever. I like never buy elite skins pretty much. Overall, I'm super excited for Crystal Guard. I think there are a lot of good changes, only a handful of bad ones, which all are very easy to fix. But we said that before and then been disappointed. So I don't want to bring anyone's hype up, but yeah. Hope for the best. Smash out the park. Bring Siege back into its greater stage. We got a long way to go, but we're slowly getting there. Cheers.